Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. So this video is going to be a bit different. I've literally just got back from America. Me and the missus, we did 4 days in New York, sort of 2 days at the Yosemite National Park, 1 day at Sequoia National Park, 1 night in San Francisco, 1 night in Vegas, and 1 night in LA. It was very, very active. Literally, like, we averaged like 20,000 steps a day. We drove over 1,500 miles in the space of like a week, like getting from, the different cities in California, and then driving to Las Vegas and then back to California. One of the best holidays ever. We did so much. But this video is going to be about New York. So it's going to be the things that I really loved and the things that I didn't love so much, because New York, very similar to London. Like, going to New York, before I'd been there, I thought it would be pretty much just like London. From everything I've read, there's massive similarities between London and New York, and there are also some quite big differences. So the first thing I loved about New York is the skyline. What a view. Look at this, top of the rock. So the skyline in New York is absolutely unbelievable. It's probably the most developed skyline of any city I've been to personally in my life. The amount of skyscrapers, the amount of, just beautiful buildings, the amount of just like great architecture. But to be honest, let's just talk, it's just the skyscrapers, like, because we did a helicopter ride across the New York skyline, and we went over the water that surrounds New York, the water between the different boroughs. And New York is it's just so built up. Nothing really prepares you for it. Like, when you're walking around at ground level and you're looking up, you're literally like you're in this labyrinth, like almost like you're in the belly of this great beast. It's hard to describe, but yeah, the skyline, I loved it. Just absolutely incredible. Another thing I loved about New York is the food options. Alright. Oh shit. The amount of meat in this sandwich is incredible. It's 26 bucks, so it's not cheap, but they genuinely pack this thing with meat. I can barely fit it in my mouth, honestly. It is delicious though, genuinely. I mean, you can find basically every kind of food in New York. I will say there's less Indian food. Like here in London, I think we have more like Indian restaurants, if you want things like curry, tikka masala, korma. I think there's more of that in London, but New York, you just can find incredible like Thai food, Chinese food, barbecue, Italian food. Every kind of cuisine I think you can find. And, we had some absolutely incredible Italian food and Chinese food and Korean food. The food options are just brilliant. And the portion sizes are way more generous than what we get here in London. Like the first night we were there, we went to this Korean place, and knowing me, like I always get all the extra things. Like if they have extra squid, I'm going to get extra squid. I got it, and my bowl was like this big. Easily could have fed both me and the missus. Easily, we could have shared one. Like, just the portion sizes are very, very generous. Number 3, the subway system. Getting on the subway. Closing doors, please. The subway system in New York is very good. Like, it's almost as good as the one here in London, I would say. Maybe it's my bias speaking, but I prefer slightly the one in London. Although the one in New York is just so much cheaper. I think it's like it's $2.80 flat fee. Like that's how much you pay no matter where you're going, no matter where you need to connect to, no matter what time of day. It's $2.80. Whereas here in England, you know, it works in zones. If you're in zone 1, which is like the most central part of London, I believe it's like £3.60, even if you're only going one stop. Mad. And if you're going from zones 6, which is the furthest zone of London, into zone 1, you're paying like £6. You know, back when I used to work in central London, I lived in zone 6. So including getting the bus, I was paying almost £15 a day just to get to work, you know, every single day. Whereas New York, it's, you know, it's a fraction of that. And, you know, the subway system is almost as good. So yeah, really, really like that. London could take a few pointers on, you know, making our subway system more affordable. Another thing I loved about New York is Central Park. So yeah, we've just finished at the Met and now we're in the lovely Central Park. It's pretty big. I didn't realize, so I thought it was around the same size as Hyde Park, London, but I googled it and it's actually 5 times bigger than Hyde Park. So, well, the missus just told me to shut the fuck up. So yeah, we're just walking around and gonna find somewhere to chill out maybe, because we racked up a lot of steps in the Met. We've done 11,000 steps today, which for me is quite a lot. For her, it's like nothing really. So yeah, just gonna enjoy the park, enjoy the fresh air, and yeah, just have some fun. Such a cool park, honestly. I was just saying to the missus that it's nice to have a park like this right in the middle of a city as busy as New York, with all the hustle and bustle and the lights and, you know, everything going on. It's like having a nice oasis that you can come and relax and chill out, unwind, you know, maybe bring a book or just, you know, sit at the bench, watch the world go by. It's definitely nice to have that contrast. I'd spend a lot of time here if I lived here. Now, Central Park is just this absolutely beautiful park, slap bang in the middle of New York. It's like when you look at it from above, it's this almost perfect rectangle. So this is Central Park. I've seen this park on a map so many times over the years. Like just seeing it from above, like the rectangular like structure of it is so cool. I used to think it was quite similar to Hyde Park, but from above they both look really different. I love the different colors of the trees. It's just so cool. And this view, like I've said before, it's just kind of takes your breath away a little bit. Definitely worth coming here. Almost looks like it's man-made, but it really isn't. It's such a great place, especially because New York is just this really loud, high energy city. To have this little oasis right in the middle of the city where you can just go read a book, go for a walk, grab a coffee or a tea. There's this nice little store that sells tea in Central Park, and just kind of like decompress. Like I really loved Central Park when we went there. Another thing I loved about New York City was Grand Central Station. All of this spices, the selection is so impressive. To be honest, this whole place is incredible. She's always camera shy. Here we are at the Grand Central Food Market. It's pretty cool. Hey babe. Babe. She's ignoring me. Really love the look of the ceiling. It's got this turquoise blue color and these like, you know, celestial sort of, you know, configurations with the stars and all that stuff. And like the sheep, I think those are sheep. Really lovely. And just the general architecture style of the buildings, of this building in particular, it's really gorgeous. Look at the size of this place. Absolutely beautiful. Super cool. So when the missus recommended that we do Grand Central Station, I was reluctant because I was like, you know, it's just going to be a train station. You know, what can I expect? I've seen, you know, tons of train stations here in England. We've got some really nice ones: Victoria, Liverpool Street, Manchester Met, you know, like King's Cross. We've got quite a few nice stations, but Grand Central Station is stunning. Like, it's unlike any station we have that I've been to, at least here in the UK. The ceiling is this almost like sky, like when you look up and you see the celestial, you know, star formations. It's whoever designed it, like absolutely incredible. Really, really lovely station. It's big, it's huge. You've got this like almost food market along the side where you can get cool things like seafood, like shatter, like the chocolate, you know, like it's such a unique and cool station. Really, really loved Grand Central Station. And another thing I loved about New York is the diversity, you know, very similar to London in the sense that you can find people from everywhere, you know, in the city. You know, it becomes like a melting pot, you know, like different cultures sharing their cuisines, their fashions. And it was nice because it didn't feel alien to me at all. It felt really like London in another country in a lot of ways. So just the diversity for me was a really, really nice addition to New York City. Now, one thing I liked, but I kind of disliked as well, it's weird, I've got kind of like a bit of a love-hate relationship, like, was Times Square. This is 9:30 on a Sunday, and look how busy it is. It's insane. Yeah, Times Square is what I expected it to be. Just absolutely millions and millions of massive lights. It's incredible. Like Times Square, I was expecting it to be like Piccadilly Circus. Piccadilly Circus is an area in London that has a few massive screens. And, you know, you go there in the daytime, it's full of people, it's very, very busy. Times Square is basically Piccadilly Circus times 10. It's Piccadilly Circus on steroids. For me, it was like sensory overload. Everywhere you look, you've got gigantic screens telling you to buy something, like buy. It was just like very, very overwhelming. And there's people everywhere. We went, like, this was incredible. The most incredible part for me, we went because we were expecting it to be super busy the whole day. So we thought, let's go around where it won't be that busy. We'll be able to kind of wander around and take our time. But nope, it was absolutely rammed at midnight. You know, you've got people taking your photo without asking, then trying to sell your photo to you. You've got people like, you know, trying to sell you hot dogs and gyros and trying to sell you merch. Like, it's just so much noise, and it's literally, you're like a sardine in a can. Like, you're having to, like, you know, bob and weave a little bit to try and get through all these people. It was overwhelming. Like, the screens, it felt like I was in the future. Like, if any of you guys have seen the movie Blade Runner 2049 or the original Blade Runner, it felt like that. It was very kind of like, yeah, kind of dystopian. Very cool place, don't get me wrong. I think if I could ever go to Times Square when it's less busy, you know, where I can walk around freely and just take it all in, I would probably like it more. But yeah, I found it quite overwhelming. Another thing about New York that I didn't like so much was how expensive everything is. Like, London is not a cheap city at all, but New York was next level, absolute next level. Just ordinary things like groceries, I would say we're talking maybe 30% more than England. You know, eating out was expensive. Like, because, you know, I've watched a lot of videos on this channel where people basically say that, you know, tipping culture in restaurants kind of keeps the prices in the restaurants low. The prices in the restaurants that we went to were not low at all. They were higher than we would be paying here. And then you had to pay the 20% minimum fee. One restaurant that we went to, I'm not going to name it, this is what they did. I found this really, really cheeky. We both did. So we paid for the food, and then on the bill, they had already included a 15% service charge, and then we had to tip on top of that. Like, for me, that was cheeky. Like, the service charge is usually the tip, right? But yeah, I found New York really, really expensive. Another thing I didn't like so much was getting the subway at night. Like, I've gotten the underground, the tube at night many times, and I've never felt unsafe. We got the subway back from Manhattan to our hotel in the Bronx. It was quite late. I think it was like 11:30, and a lot of the people on the subway were like actually using, using on the subway. On the subway, one guy screamed super aggressively at this woman who was right next to us. The missus got a bit scared. Then these two guys who were clearly under the influence sat right in front of us and were just staring at us. It was, yeah, we didn't feel safe. In hindsight, we probably would have just got maybe an Uber back. But, because we're from London, maybe it was a bit naive. We thought, how bad could it be? It's a subway system. There's going to be staff there. But no, there wasn't that many staff. Like in London, at every tube station, there's usually at least 2 members of staff and 1 on the platform. We didn't find that in New York. It was very much kind of just the people traveling, and maybe that's why people were allowed to kind of do things on the subway that they wouldn't be able to do here in London. And another thing that it's not really a big deal, it's kind of like a byproduct of one of the things I love about New York is the lack of light at ground level in Manhattan. So Manhattan, because it's so built up, you've got literally skyscrapers everywhere you look, not a lot of light gets down onto the ground level. So it was kind of, even though it was like the middle of the day, it was kind of like gray a little bit. Whereas when we went to the top of the rock on the same day, just so much sunlight, so bright. So yeah, I think because of the, high density, high built up nature of New York, you're not going to get much sunlight at ground level. At least that's what we found. And the final thing I would say that I didn't really like so much about New York City was it felt like there was a lot more poverty on display. Like there was a lot more homeless people that I'm used to seeing. It was quite striking to me that a city that clearly has so much wealth, there's so much wealth in New York City that, there were so many people on the streets. I don't know whether it's maybe these people couldn't make their way to shelters, if the shelters were full, or I'm not sure what the reason was, but there was a lot more homeless people than I was expecting. People had said, in California, in Los Angeles, you can expect a lot of homeless people. So we kind of expected to see it there, but not in New York. So that was, a real eye-opener for us. But all in all, like if I had to rate my trip to New York out of 10, I'd have to give it like almost a 9. Like I loved it. I was saying to the missus, I could potentially live in New York, for 3 months, because in England, I believe we have something called the visa waiver program, which allows people from England to live or travel in America for 3 months at a time without having to apply for a visa. I think this is true. So yeah, I was thinking, I could potentially live in Dumbo, Brooklyn, somewhere like that, quite a cool area. But yeah, really loved my trip to New York. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.